Drop that ego. Stop protecting yourself from something that's going to be really, really useful for you. Don't play the victim, play the student. Hey, g'day there, fellow humans. Mark LeBusque here for another episode of the In the Raw podcast. Wanted to kick off this week with a question that's been sent to me after listening to one of the podcasts by Tracy Ann. And the question that Tracy Ann has asked is that she was put into a new role and she asked the team if there are any challenges. And they said there aren't any. And then a few weeks in, they started to discuss the challenges. And Tracy's response was, "Why didn't you tell me?" And they said that they wanted Tracy to have an objective perspective. Tracy's question is that fair on me or not? That's absolutely fair, Tracy Ann. And I say that very, very deliberately because I think your people have done you a favour to not create a whole lot of their own judgments or their own experiences to cloud what you might see. So, I think some managers can think that they'd withheld information, but I'd like to think that your people with very good intention have set you up for success so you can have a look at what's going on first before you start to take on the thoughts of others. So I hope that helps you, but I think your people have done the right thing by you. So there you go. I love questions. Please keep sending questions through to me, and thank you for the positive comments that are coming through as well. So for today, couple of spicy questions as we usually get here. And the first question relates to, let's call it branding, the fun police, and the words strategic and advising. So Stasha, who asked me this question, which is, as the only female on the leadership team in a manufacturing environment, how do I brand my services as strategic and advising business partner rather than the fun police? So here we go, Stasha. Here's the first thing I'm going to say. Can you brand it, or have you been branded? So have a think about that. Perhaps the area that you work in is creating the brand for you because of historical experiences with that area. Now, as a business partner, one of the things that comes to mind for me, one of the places I hear that most in is in what they now call the people and culture area. Fancy new name for what they used to call human resources, but we know that we dig resources out of the ground and people aren't resources. They're humans. So one of the things, if you are in the people and culture space here, Stasha, one of the things I used to brand that area as is the business prevention unit and a bit of the fun police as well. So perhaps some of the branding that you're getting is based around some of the historical experience that these people have had. So what I'm going to say to you, a couple of things you need to think about. First of all is, what is the basis behind the story? Don't get all fired up and emotional about it. Maybe just think about it more in a curious way and ask some questions. So ask the group, what is the basis behind the story? When they say the fun police, ask them what they mean. Do some investigating about whether there's actually some truth to that or not, because there may well be. There may have been times where that particular business partnering arrangement was the fun police, and perhaps it was justified and perhaps that it wasn't justified. But I think you need to sort of dig into that a bit before you try too hard to convince your peers and your colleagues on that team that you're not the fun police, because if they've already got a story that you are, it's going to be a hard one to shake until you're prepared to have a conversation. Interestingly, you use the words strategic and advising. So I think something you need to think about as well, what do those words mean to you, and how can you help others to make sense of how you see both strategic and advising in your role? Because sometimes those words are, I'm going to call them roll your eyes words. Whenever I hear the word strategic, I tend to roll my eyes because there's so many different interpretations of what it means. So spend a little bit of time in creating your story about what that means and the value that you can bring to your group, and then go and have that conversation. And I think something else that if these approaches aren't working for you and you're feeling like you're continuing to get frustrated, and if you're seeing and experiencing some behaviours that are really not related to leadership, but more juvenile in the way they are, as in, if people call you, the fun police are here again, I think what you need to do is call them out. So when it happens, just stop the meeting and say, hey, listen, what's going on right now? And get away from whatever the topic might be and get the topic onto those two words, fun police. I would share with your colleagues how you feel when you continually be called the fun police. I'm sure if you get a reaction like, oh, but we're only joking, well, get them to look through your eyes, get them to understand what it means to you when those two words come up. And I know that you have got certain qualities about you that will help you with that sort of thing. So just call that behaviour out. And I think what happens over time, if you can do a few things, is to start to change the perception of the brand, understand the basis behind the story, accept there'll be some truth to that story, because there will be. If you deny it or ignore it, I can tell you what, it's not going to go away. It's going to stay there. And be really clear on what strategic and advising means, and maybe change that language to something else, because I think those words just get rolled out too often. And then finally, stand up for yourself, call it out, let people know how it makes you feel. Usually in this situation, there'll be one or two perpetrators in that team that keep rolling it out, and maybe just ask them, why do you do it? Maybe it's protecting them. So there's my view. Look in the mirror, understand your part in the mess, and then speak with those people. So I hope that's useful for you. But, we don't like to be called the fun police. We don't like to be called names, but sometimes there's some basis behind that. The second one today, short and sharp today, keeping it really, really tight, and tight as I mean fish ass tight here. And the reason I say that is because the second question is from Mark, and Mark happens to be me. And this question comes about because I have a pretty cool podcast producer, Andy Marr. He's an absolute gem. And at times I'll ask Andy for some feedback, and at times he will just give me some feedback. And recently he gave me some feedback. So my question is this: how do you not take feedback that's very direct and challenges your skill set personally? So as someone who's recorded 260 odd, maybe 270 podcasts, every now and again, Andy, the Velvet Sledgehammer as I'll call him, will give me some feedback. And particularly with starting this new podcast, he's given me some pretty good feedback. One was that because it's new, mate, and you're trying to keep it short and sharp, keep it short and sharp. 20 minutes is too long. Cut it down to 15, maybe less than that, and try and hook your audience in. The terminology you used was keep it fish ass tight. Now, I'm pretty sure that's pretty tight because it needs to be watertight. So that was the first bit of feedback. Some of the other stuff was stop emptying your total jerry can and stop going back over and repeating answers, because at times you're saying the final point and then you'll go back to another final point. Look at the camera. If you're going to record these as video, it would be important for you that people are thinking you're looking into their eyes when you're doing it and not looking down. So it was interestingly, when I received the feedback via an email, wasn't asking for the feedback, but got the feedback. I got to say, it stings a little bit to get it. But the question that I put out here, and I know everyone has this one, is how do you not take it personally? Well, the first thing is lose your ego. Drop that ego. Stop thinking that you're doing it really well, and stop protecting yourself from something that's going to be really, really useful for you. That's number one. Number two, accept that it comes from a good place, even though when you initially receive it, and as I was reading it, sitting in my car, and I can remember where I was. I was in the Hunter Valley, and I'm reading this email, and there's dot points, and I'm like, holy shit, bang, bang. It was like a series of, let's say, a few rib punches, a couple of uppercuts, and then one big sort of right hook in these 4 or 5 dot points. What I do know about the human being that did that for me is he comes from an absolutely good place, a place of good intention, a place of support, a place of growth, a place of helpfulness. Now, I could have created a different story, and I know we can, and we can all do this when we get feedback that stings us a bit, is we can actually play the victim and we can start picking on the one that gave us the feedback as the perpetrator. So sit back, as I had to do after taking the initial sting, and go, I know this comes from a good place. A place of kindness is what I'd say for this particular gentleman, who will be, I hope, not too shocked that I've shared this, but I'm hoping he's laughing as he is pulling this together. And the third one I'm going to say is thinking of feedback to allow you to adapt and learn and grow, and in particular, let go of some of the shit that you've been doing. I've been pottying now for 7 years, and I'd like to think I'm getting better. But at times I think I can become a bit complacent, as we all can. And one of the ways to get better is to drop some of the things that you think have made you successful at it. Now, I don't know that I'm actually successful. I don't have a world-breaking, well-known podcast, and I'm looking to grow my audience and do those things, but I've got a lot to learn. And if you go into this with a learning mindset and a growth mindset rather than closing off, and as soon as you get the feedback saying, how dare you do that? You're a supplier of mine. You put yourself at enormous risk because I can just go and find someone else to do this for me. As I said before, drop the ego, stop protecting yourself, and adapt and learn and grow over time. So if you're somebody who recently has been given some feedback that has stung you, a couple of other things I'll say to you right now is, first of all, when you're getting that feedback, instead of going into a denial or an ignorant or justification type situation, say simply 2 words to that person. And the 2 words you might want to say don't start with, the first one doesn't start with F, it starts with T. It's thank you. And as I've done with this one, and thank you, Andy, for your feedback. And I hope from what you see in this particular episode, you'll see some improvements. Go away and reflect and learn and get better and get 1% better every time you do something. And don't play the victim, play the student. So there's a couple of things, short and sharp, fish ass tight. I hope I haven't emptied out my mental jerry can today. And we'll leave it at that. Stasia, thank you for the question. Mark, I'm talking about myself. Thank you for the question. I hope that's been helpful for the listeners. And as I always say, if you loved it, why not rate it 5 stars? Please leave us a little review as to why you loved it. Shoot me some more questions, like the question we got from Tracy Ann today. I hope that's been helpful for you, Tracy Ann. If you liked it, share it with your friends. Click on the button to subscribe. I've been getting some really good feedback about the new format, and it really encourages me to keep going. And remember, send me a spicy question about leadership, and I'll do the best to answer it. But until next time, keep it a bit unfiltered, keep it a bit raw, and keep it real. But we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.